New Garnier Men Acno Fight Gentle Cleanser. ये है gentle on skin, tough on pimples.
Well, 24 hours after a Super 8 result that has the cricketing world still looking with keen interest, eyebrows raised for the rest of that group, that is Group 1 of the Super 8s. What an opportunity. So, West Indies, Zimbabwe, all to play for at the Wankhede as we get to match 44 and the race to the top 4 gets more and more interesting. Welcome to ESPN Cricket Info Timeout, powered by Garnier Men. It's a lovely homecoming for DDG after very long. DDG and FDP together. Gentlemen, good evening. The three of us are donned in black. It's like we're ready to rob a bank.
No, I mean, I got a mail. Did you not get a mail, you guys? I got a mail saying blah, 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 blah.
I just thought we were wearing black because of last night.
Oh, you mean we are mourning India's World Cup demise? Are you willing to call it, Plessis? That's it. India are out of it. We're going to see the second semi-finalist here.
Just a once-off.
You slept well last night, didn't you?
Very well.
Tell me, you dropped in a few messages to the boys, like. Good.
Yeah, I was very proud of them. I did, yes. I spoke to a few of them after the game. Excellent win, though. We talked about it last night. What a statement.
All right, Deep Dasgupta, we have to put that behind us.
Trying to.
What an opportunity, though. West Indies, Zimbabwe. Yeah. For all you know, the team that wins here will have genuine belief. I mean, Zimbabwe have already told us Super 8s, it was not our only goal. We planned to go all the way. But this throws the group open quite interestingly. India has lost to South Africa.
It does. And these two teams have been kind of punching above their weight, especially Zimbabwe for sure. But also not just West Indies in terms of the performance predominantly, not the result, but how they've been playing.
Yep.
They've been quite convincing in their performances so far. I think both these teams are in really good form individually and as a team. So this is a game to watch out for.
It's actually a great story both ways. I think with the West Indies, pre-tournament, I remember when we saw the groups, we're thinking, oh, you know, Nepal are in the West Indies group. That could be the upset that wouldn't surprise the cricketing world. And here West Indies have bossed it. They've beaten England. They go into the Super 8s unbeaten. And Zimbabwe also go into the Super 8s unbeaten. I wonder which storyline has been more surprising, if I can ask you that first.
A little African fairy tale, isn't it? Zimbabwe, our neighboring country. Also super proud of them, you know, a country that doesn't have many resources. You want countries like that to do well at a World Cup. You want to, you feel for them. You know, they don't have the best opportunity. So the way that they've played, I love the way that, you know, every time they go through a win and everyone's like, it's an upset. They go, no, it's another game for us. We've got a lot more coming. So that message has been key from Raza. So hopefully there's another upset in this Group 8 stage.
Yeah, and we wouldn't put it past Zimbabwe to not leave the Super 8s empty-handed. Who knows? Sikandar Raza is saying, we're keen for more. We want to make it to the semi-final.
Listen, they're playing as if they've got nothing to lose, which they don't actually, to be fair. And they're playing really good cricket here. I mean, just forget Zimbabwe. And personally as well, it's just wonderful to see, I mean, having someone who's haven't played them in the early 2000s, the kind of team that they had back then, as in the 90s and 2000s. I mean, just wonderful to see them back and playing so well again.
Yeah, well organized, led very well, and now coming up against the West Indies. Let's talk a little bit about the West Indies. Shades of 2016 and Darren Sammy. Initially, sometimes those kind of tags can burden you. They can add to the pressure. But the way they've played, the win against England, the clinical sort of way the West Indies have been, they don't strike me as a team now that we always say West Indies on their day in T20 cricket. It doesn't look like an on their day team. This looks like a well organized team from what you've seen.
Yeah, and Darren Sammy as a coach, it comes across. He's a fighter by nature. He's someone that has to, you know, his whole career had to fight to be in a West Indian team that was a very strong West Indian team. He was a very good leader in that team. And even if you look at the West Indian team now, I've certainly been impressed by their seam attack because I thought before the campaign, I thought powerhouse batting, but especially their seam attack is going to run into some trouble. And look, we still want to see when the opposition that's coming up now, what's going to happen to that seam attack, because it is a little bit different in terms of the oppositions that they've faced so far. But you can only judge a team on what is in front of them, and they've performed excellently in the way they've gone about their business.
I think it's going to be an exciting game, and I wonder how important this toss result is, especially for Zimbabwe, given it's not only that they're playing in India for the first time in this World Cup, they're playing at the Wankhede for the first time in my lifetime You know, the last time they played at the Wankhede was
That is
1987.
Crazy
Wow.
stat.
And that, in a
Wow.
way, it breaks my heart. Like, we don't see Zimbabwe in India as much. They did play in India in 2016 in the T20 World Cup.
Right.
India, of course, go to Zimbabwe regularly. India is one of the teams that's actually
But
gone.
also that hasn't
towards
happened
Zim.
in a while.
2024.
Yeah,
last
24,
I was
yeah.
there. Yeah.
But
Oh,
can
yeah.
you, can you imagine now? You put yourself in, in those shoes.
Yeah.
Those players, the staff, they've seen the Wankhede, they've seen the matches over the year. The amazing, you know, iconic venue. The first time you step out there and you go, okay, we're in the Super 8 Super World Cup. How amazing is that?
And now that they've taken Australia's place here, they play the Wankhede, they go to the Chepauk to play India,
Yeah.
which is an occasion and a half, you would think. And
Just
of
all the
course-
iconic venues,
yes,
just tick them off.
Yes, yes. I think there's a game against South Africa as well, so the neighbouring derby will also take place. That will not be in Ahmedabad. Enough of South Africa and Ahmedabad. Anyway, let's get toss result though. Sikandar Raza has won the toss. They will bowl first. So they put the West Indies in. Deep, how big a familiarity factor is in play today in a Super 8 game? West Indies have played a couple of games here. Most of their players have played at the Wankhede. Zimbabwe, absolutely no experience.
Usually speaking, I would say yes. But then when it comes to Zimbabwe, the way they've been performing, I don't think it really matters where they're playing. You send them to Mars, they'll play there as well. I mean, at this point in time, I guess it's the adrenaline which is going to be pumping really hard. And I mean, I don't think. I mean, it is a big moment. As Fab mentioned, you mentioned it. I mean, Wankhede for the first time, never before in India after so many years. Yeah, but I think they would be in that zone right now. They're really wired in.
If I could throw this open a little wider, in a T20 game, Faf, does the whole never played at a ground or never played in these conditions matter as much as we tend to believe in normal cricket terms with, say, Test and ODI cricket? Because it's only 20 over game at the end of it. You get off quickly. There's no such thing as a disadvantage because the game's short.
Look, it is nice knowing that you've been to a venue before. It's just the familiarity around it. And I think deep down, without maybe them acknowledging it, bowling first allows you just to feel your way into what the pitch is doing. You know, when you bat first on a surface that you've never played on, you're making those decisions while you're out there. Whereas with the ball, you at least feel you've got a couple of balls just to see what the pitch is doing and then make your adjustments from there. So I think psychologically maybe that would have also just in the coin toss there what they decided.
So it's a good toss result for Zimbabwe in particular.
Definitely yes. Definitely yes.
But West Indies hold an advantage. Can we call them favourites for sure going into this game?
I would like to say
I
so.
would call them favourites just because they've been there. You know, they're a powerful T20 side. They've got the history around them is a big one. They're a successful, big country that's done well. They've done very well at Wankhede.
Very well. Never lost a T20 World Cup game here.
Yeah.
And that is something that works well for this team led by Shea Hope. If we can talk a little bit more about the captain as well over here. It takes, all teams depend heavily on their captain to bring them together, but you'd sense with the West Indies as well, with the way their players have had to rallied around. One thing is Darren Sammy's coaching, but Shea Hope, the captain, has ticked every box so far from what we've seen.
They've had a few captains like over the last 2-3 years. There's been a bit of changing around. You know, Roston Chase came in, he's come to the test team as well. So a lot of leadership movement over the last 2 years, but obviously someone like a Hope is a banker in the team. He's done really well with the bat, and unfortunately this is how the world works. The world picks a captain on his place in the team, because selectors and coaching staff generally look at, we're not going to pick the best captain, we're going to pick a guy that's going to play in the team.
You started that line by saying unfortunately.
Because I think a captain holds weight in cricket. I think a good leader plays a big role in a good cricket team. So we're not talking about a guy that's below par in terms of averages. I just think I've seen it so many times that a really good captain makes a difference in a cricket team, and a below par captain also makes a difference in the cricket team.
And especially this format. Especially this format. In the other formats, 50 and test matches, you have enough time for messages to be sent out and out.
It's so tactical, the game.
This is captain's. This format is captain's format. So if you have a good captain, that's a huge advantage.
So you don't subscribe to the good old Ian Chappell notion. Pick your best 11 and then name someone captain.
I don't believe in that, no. But it's not as easy as that always. I get that. But yeah, it's not always the best player must captain the team, because that's another version of how people pick captains. He's the best player, make him the captain.
But Fab, would you also agree that the captain has to be a regular member of the 11 as well?
And that's the challenge.
Yeah.
So when it comes to a guy that's floating with a position in terms of making the starting 11, and that's why most of the time you see guys being made captain that you won't necessarily, he's the strongest leader,
True.
but he makes the starting 11.
Or you could just have the coach who's in charge. That
Yeah,
captain.
just get your phone, earpiece, and just send messages.
Yeah, that's
down.
the
Your
other way
piece.
to look at it.
You're going all the way to
Yeah.
the late, God bless him, the late Bob Woolman, 99.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Now we have coaches who can shout from the dugout and they can be heard.
Yeah.
And remonstrate.
Not at Wankhede. Not at Wankhede. Too loud.
I hope that we have a great atmosphere at the Wankhede, which has of course been terrific, even for the neutral games, non-India games as it turns out. And the West Indies are box office, they're entertaining, so I'm sure it'll be fun on Monday night. Let's look at the team that Shea Hope's gone with. Now the team that they've featured in the last couple of games has seen Romario Shepherd just precautiously rested. I did meet Shepherd at the Eden Gardens to ask him if he's fully fit, and he is. Darren Sammy confirmed on the eve of this game, no problems. And Roston Chase misses out. So the call was whether Matthew Ford plays or Shepherd plays, because that was the swap. They brought in Roston Chase, who was actually very good in the game against England. And now they've decided they don't need the extra off spinner. Moti and Akil Hussain are spinners enough. Shepherd, Ford, Jason Holder, Shamar Joseph. That is the seam bowling lineup.
That's very interesting. I can only think that they've gone through the Zimbabwe team and they've seen a lot of right-handers, because Roston Chase is a very good T20 spinner. He does really well, even against right-handers.
Yeah.
I would like to see the Zimbabwe team just to see how many lefties there is, because that's a strange one.
Yeah, I can only say Ford has bowled really well with the new ball.
Yeah.
Or they've seen something in the Wankhede which says, you know what, we've got.
Yeah,
we need
the
more
other
pace.
thing is generally at Wankhede you would think the spinners won't have a huge role to play, but in this World Cup, the few games that we've seen, it's been a different story.
A bit different.
Yeah, so maybe this surface is a little different as compared to what we've seen so far in this World Cup.
Yeah, and Chase had a big say with the ball in the game against England, and bowled particularly well, two right-handers as I recall. Let's look at the Zimbabwe team and see if perhaps it is specifically a tactical call made for today's opposition for the West Indies. And welcome back to the left-arm seamer. Richard Ngarava is back in the side, but Graham Kremer also keeps his place. So as I go through that list, yes, no Mazakatsa. Deep, you were actually calling for this change.
Yeah, I mean, again, just going back to what usually a Wankhede pitch would be like, and it seems like that both the teams, if you look at it, they've gone for a seamer in place of a spinner. I mean, Romario Shepherd would have come back, Ngarava would have come back, but in place of whom was the question? And in both the cases, it seems like they've replaced a spinner for a seamer. So that just tells me this surface might be closer to the usual Wankhede surfaces that we expect.
Could you elaborate on that? What is the usual Wankhede surface and what
High
have we got in
scoring,
this
batting
World Cup?
friendly, not much for the spinner, due factor in the second half, all of those things which will, which would be high scoring, which will tell you it's going to be a high scoring game.
And as we look at that team, I mean, I've been looking at Marumani, Ryan Burl, so that's two left-handers at least. But I guess they've just decided don't need necessarily Roston.
Yeah, as I said, interesting one, because Chase gives you a lot of flexibility. He bowls in the power play. If there's lefties, he bowls in the middle. Even bowls at the death. He bowled really well in the SA20 at the death in a couple of key games where he finished it off. So, yeah, it's an interesting one, and I'm sure there's a good reason for it. But having two left-arm spinners, it's nice for a captain just to have the option of there's a lefty into bowler off spinner.
All right, well, there you go. Those are the two teams, Super 8 times. This should be a fun game. I hope it's a fun game. Let's talk about some key players that have caught our attention in this World Cup. And let's start at the top for Zimbabwe. Brian Bennett. How good has the 22-year-old been? Who's going to get him out? Is he going to end with an average in this World Cup or just no average? It's going to be a dash. Because he's so far, gentlemen, been unstoppable. 175 runs, 3 innings, all unbeaten, 2 half centuries, striking at 125. Now he's 22, but he's batting like a throwback batter, where he's hitting more 4s than 6s. He's going at a strike rate of 120. What's to love? What's to not love about that?
And what is the heartening bit is, if you look at this World Cup, and most of the high-scoring batters, apart from Sabzada, has been guys who play a lot of orthodox cricket. so it's Brian Bennett. If you look at that, look at Shea Hope. In this game, we've got a couple of those guys who are kind of all three format players. And it's so good to see. And Brian Bennett, he's a proper all-rounder. He bowls, he's a gun fielder.
Yeah, excellent fielder.
And he's a super batter. So, and I think what I really like about him is he plays percentage cricket. And while playing percentage cricket, he still manages to score at fairly decent rate as well. But also what helps Brian Bennett is his opening pair, who, if you see, hasn't scored a lot of runs in terms of big runs, 60, 70, but he gets those 18 balls, 30, kind of gets that momentum that you need, and then the other guys keep that momentum going. So I guess while we talk about Brian Bennett, it's also important to mention what his partner has done as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, I've seen him get a rather brisk test 100, Brian Bennett, and his test strike rate is actually 71, which is a pretty high strike rate. He's a bit of a basher. So when you spoke about the current crop of batters, they don't really think so much about that building an innings or anchoring. They want to bash the ball. I think it looks like Bennett's either been told that your role is this, the rest of the guys will go, or it seems like Bennett is reining himself in, having to almost change his mindset to play the anchor role for the success of the Zimbabwe team.
The key is there, when you're starting with a strike rate that's a little bit slower than what we think is a normal strike rate in the power play, is that you have to kick on. Because if you're getting 20 of 20 and you get out and you've put pressure on, that puts more pressure on the rest of the batting lineup. So what he's done really well is he's converted those starts and he's made big innings. And secondly, what Deep is saying it's crucial who you're pairing up with. Because if you have two of the same players thinking the same way, it puts even more pressure on you. So the fact that his partners helped him out, it allows him just to play normal cricket shots, react to what is coming his way. But on the other side, you have someone that is taking the early, the risk shots and playing the partnership really well. So that's why so far it's worked for him. And lastly is the surface. He's played on surfaces that's been a bit slower. We need the old school approach of batting the innings through. When you get to venues where it's a bit flatter, that sometimes needs to be flexible to change.
I think he'll welcome a shift from Sri Lanka to the West Indies. In fact, this would be the flip side, right? The teams that were playing in Sri Lanka coming to India would love playing, you'd think, at the Wankhede. So we will find out in a little while from now. He's got an overall career strike rate of 143 and he's played 55 T20 as Brian Bennett. So he's been around for a little while.
Good.
And we'll wait to see which version of him turns up. He's in fact not hit any six this tournament. 22 fours, no sixes. Good ground to hit some sixes. But how do the West Indies get him out? Let's try and break it down for you. Not like we want Brian Bennett to get out, but it'll be fun for someone to claim his wicket. Against right arm pace, 19 dismissals. Average very good. Strike rate very good. Left arm pace, even better. Higher strike rate, higher average. Finger spin, 7 dismissals, average of 62, but wrist spin. Now, Gudakesh Moti is a part-time wrist spinner as a full-time spinner, if I can call him that, because he bowls maybe 2 out of every 6 balls with the wrist spinning action.
If that.
Yeah, that's the classification. So is that?
Yeah, but then you're saying he generally doesn't bowl in the first 6.
Yes.
So he's already played the first 6. So he's already, roughly speaking, played 20-25 deliveries by then. So, not that much, getting my maths wrong. Around 12-13 deliveries he's already played. So, yeah, I mean, I think his biggest challenge would be Akeal Hussain with the new bowler.
I've got another I'm trying to think, if I'm Darren Sammy or I'm in the West Indies dugout here and I'm presented with Zimbabwe, while I will take them very seriously and there is no room for complacency in a World Cup, whether you could be guilty of dropping your guard because you tend to subscribe to the matchup so carefully when it's a high profile opening batter. But if the numbers say, Brian Bennett wrist spin is something you could consider, do you go, well, no, with due respect, I'm going to give my seamers a go. I'm not as interested in this matchup as I would be, say, if it was Aiden Mark.
I don't think
Josh
so.
Buckley.
I know the analyst very well of the team, and he's a very thorough analyst and comes up with some great information for the captain and the coach. So I agree. I think Akeal Hussain would be a good matchup. Generally, your players from Zimbabwe are good players of spin because they play on a surface that is slow and that takes spin. So they are very good against spin. So it's either, I would say, high pace Or what I like about Akilah Sain is if there's a little bit of swing with a new ball, his arm ball goes a long way. So if you haven't faced him before, what he does is he surprises you with the amount of ball swings. So it will be good to see if the ball swings, but if there's a bit of shape with that new ball, he's very dangerous in your first 6 balls as an opening batsman because you have to hit the ball.
Yeah.
He's a timer of a cricket ball, so someone that relies on facing a bit of seam and playing a cover drive for 4 or flicking the ball, whereas a spinner you have to have a little bit more power and trying to get those boundaries early on.
Well, the 2 left-arm spinners are very much the 2 frontline spinners for the West Indies. When they do well, more often than not, the West Indies win. Every time that Gurukesh Motie and Akilah Sain take 2 or more wickets in a T20I, the West Indies win rate jumps up, especially when it comes to Motie. Remember the success of that 2016 team built on the back of power play bowling by Samuel Badri and the impact of Sunil Narayan. So they do rely on key overs of spin when they have had their best days in the history of the T20 World Cup. That all for later, because Zimbabwe are bowling first, so we'll have to see how the chase goes. For now, the West Indies batting is being called into question, and Shimron Hetmyer at number 3, no questions about his form. He's come to this tournament ready. He is our match ready face with Ghanaian men Acne Fight Gentle Cleanser. Nothing gentle about Hetmyer. But so good, so good. He almost missed. I think he did miss his flight to get here with the rest of the team. Yeah. I checked what that was, and apparently he was on holiday somewhere in South America or somewhere else, and he forgot his old passport, which had his Indian visa in it. So he had to get that passport.
He's had a few of those things.
This time it was not Hetty oversleeping or the alarm not going up. It was simply he didn't carry the old passport.
Well, that's what you've been told.
Is there any reason to not believe Shimron?
I did a section earlier, fact or fuff. Is that fact or is that fuff?
I am on this show. I'd like to provide fact. You can do fuff. All right. Hetmyer, in all seriousness, how good has he been at number 3 in particular? That is the reason why I guess the West Indies have decided this is Hetmyer's role. Because his T20 journey, you both know, gentlemen, has gone from starting at 3 as an ODI batter to then being pigeonholed as a finisher. And now if you look at Hetmyer at 3, averaging nearly 65, striking at nearly 175. And while the West Indies have tried other players in that, no one has come close to the returns of Shimron Hetmyer. And I'm really happy to see that. Hetty is better than a number 6.
Yeah, they've actually, it was a spot they were concerned about a little bit because the rest of the batting lineup just looked easy to do. You know, like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was just like power hitters right through. But their number 3 slot was we weren't quite sure. And you saw Matthew Ford was batting at number 3 against South Africa. And Hetty just got the opportunity in South Africa and came in and played beautiful. Cricket shots with power. And he's made that number 3 position his own. And the ability to come in and take the game on is what makes it so tricky, because he's not a player that blocks his first 6 balls. He comes in and he plays with intent. And that's the kind of guy you want to come in at number 3. A wicket has just fallen. Someone walks to the crease and he puts the pressure back on the bowling attack.
I wonder how much credit we actually need to give this decision, because I know the language of the T20 drafts, auctions, analysts, even Gaurav has said this many times, G-Stats Deep, and we've spoken about it in our IPL coverage, auction coverage. Hetmyer is a very unique T20 player because he's one of those left-handed middle order, lower middle order finishers, so short in supply, but teams are almost so reluctant therefore to move him at 3 because that position he plays is so important.
Listen, he's always been a all-rounded batter, right? From day one when he first came in, you could see that. But then, I don't know, he was pigeonholed into that number 5, number 6 finisher and all of that. And then I guess just getting this opportunity to bat at number 3, and especially West Indies struggle with the retirement of Nicky P. I guess that opened up that space for him to take a little more responsibility. I think he wasn't kind of, because he saw himself as a number 5, 6, he never worked on the other side of his game. But now that he's got that responsibility to go in at number 3, he definitely looks, I mean, he's always been good, but then something that was so pleasing to see was his fitness levels. I mean, look at him, from day one of this World Cup, he's looked fit. And for me, fitness means he's committed to the cause. For me, fitness is all about commitment as a professional. How committed are you? And it was wonderful to see him, you know, just make that number 3 zone.
You shared a dressing room with Hetty?
Not with him, no.
No.
Played against him quite a bit.
Oh, you'd have played loads against him.
Not with him, no.
When you're planning with your bowling attack to bowl to Shimron Hetmyer, what's the hardest thing? Why is he such a difficult
Well, absolutely destroys left arm spin. So as a matchup, when you've got a left arm spinner in your team, you feel like it's risky. It's risky bowling a left arm spinner at him. So you want someone that can take the ball away from him. You know, whether it's with the googlies or when you are trying to shut him down, it's actually getting the ball away from his swing plane. He's a really, really strong leg side player. So you're trying to get the ball outside of that swinging arc.
So you made the point, and I'm glad you brought it up. It almost seems like Pooran-sized hole was left in this West Indies team. And that's what they said, the one guy who can fill those big shoes is Shimron Hetmyer. Because we speak in Pooran of the same language, don't we? Just cannot bowl left arm spinner.
Yeah, he's playing in that same manner, that same way. So he's obviously taken a bit of that blueprint and made it his own. And it's really good to see, because now, if you look at that batting lineup, it's so powerful. They've got the top 2, who's your kind of players that needs to anchor the innings. They play cricket shots, also still attacking, but more your anchor role. And then right through, it's just power. And once again, it reminds me of the team that was so successful, the Marlon Samuels role, the guy that batted through, and it was
very important
powerhouse guys. And that's what a West Indian team needs. They've always had guys that can hit sixes, but to complete their batting lineup, they need a guy to just anchor the innings.
Yeah, stitch it together and anchor at someone who can still go at 165, 170.
Play good cricket shots.
Hetty in form, big part of the West Indies success story, and who knows how deep that success story could go in this tournament. But the challenge for the West Indies batters will be one that Australia did not pass. Plessis Muzarabani is a bowler to look out for. He is someone that is getting more and more accolade with every time we see him. He in fact got you might have missed his IPL call-up with RCB last year, in a time where you had a lack of international players coming back after the tournament resumed. But Muzarabani at the Wankhede sounds like a very appetizing prospect. Tall bowler, this ground. Muzarabani, let's take it away. What's he to look out for?
I'm just looking at his numbers and I'm going 5.9 economy rate in T20 cricket.
That's a joke, isn't it?
Unbelievable. You know, when you're looking at, obviously he comes with consistency and pace and bounce, but purely economy rate of 5.9. Wow.
Yeah. So last year was, because he was there for the RCBs, he wasn't playing, so he was bowling. So I was there one of the IPL games. You could actually see that extra bounce, and that is scary. I mean, at least 4 to 6 inches more than anyone else. And if this pitch plays anywhere close to what Wankhede does with that red soil stuff, expect him to pick a few here as well.
Is that the game, effectively? If Zimbabwe are going to make a claim tonight, is it Muzarabani against Shai Hope, Hetmyer?
Don't count out Ngarawa as well. He's also 6'6", 6'7". He's not a short guy either. And left arm, right arm, and that's going to be a big challenge.
Look, I think the bowling lineup has held their own right through the World Cup. He's been the star of the bowling attack. But if you look through the other stuff, 6.3 is the other economy bowlers of the paces, and I mean that's just as good. So as a bowling attack, once again they played the cricket in Sri Lanka, so it'll be interesting to see the shift now coming to Wankhede. What do they bowl? They've never played there. What are the lengths they're going to bowl?
Yeah, and if you just look at the numbers there for lowest strike rates for an opening pair, now I'd like to put some context into that, because Brandon King is struggling a little bit for runs. Shai Hope's looking fabulous, but they do have in that, if you can keep Shai Hope quiet, and if Muzarabani can go at 5.9, you'd sense that this is Zimbabwe's best chance. If you can get West Indies 30 for 2, 35 for 2, that's a game. If the West Indies are 45, 50 for 1 at the power play with all that batting to come, that might be, so the first 6 I'd assume in this particular game could be crucial.
The thing with West Indies is they know they've got so much 6-hitters. So they know if they can get a good start, they will catch up. So they're not, some teams line up where you feel like we've maybe got 1 6-hitter or 2 6-hitters that come in at number 5, 6, 7. So we need to be very aggressive in the first 6 overs. They're almost a little bit different. They can afford to play a set the innings up kind of role, because if they don't lose 3 wickets or 4 wickets in the power play. They've just got firepower coming at you all the time.
And I hope they don't miss Roston Chase, the batter, this evening.
Yeah.
You know, those 2 early wickets, you would ideally want someone like him to kind of hold one end at least for a while.
I mean, you've got so many whackers. Like you just feel
that's
like
what. So let's say Rovman Pal at 4.
Yeah.
The last thing you would want is Rovman Pal in the power play.
And he's been struggling as well.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the thing.
probably, Shafin Rutherford's the form batter, but then you also.
But then again, you don't want them pre 8 or 9 overs. Post that, yes.
So without Roston Chase there to be that like safety net, the responsibility on the openers is really key.
All right, let's get predictions, and I'm very interested to know what your predictions will be for this one.
West Indies to win.
Yeah.
Oh, you already gone to the end of it. Let's go with the score to start with. So them to get a nice
I'm
big
jumping
score.
the gun.
I'm amazed that the average score to the World Cup of the Wankhede batting first. Although, with due respect, we have seen some lower ranked teams play there and put that into perspective. So 161 is all that we've seen. So keeping everything in mind,
I'm just going to go. They're going to fire this batting lineup. I'm going to go 190.
190. Dasgupta.
182.
Yeah, 182 for the. Yeah, you know, the 200 barrier is not easily breached in this World Cup. Perhaps even less so in the Super 8 stage.
Let's be honest. This is a World Cup. This is not a bilateral series.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, anyways, whatever the average score is, shave off at least another 10-15 runs because of the fact that it's a World Cup.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm going Rutherford to be.
He's enjoying this.
He's gonna come. He's gonna come hard.
Rutherford at his new IPL home. What a good trade.
I'm gonna go. He's gonna go 50 of 20.
50 of 20 Rutherford. Deep Dasgupta, any more sweepstakes that you would like to participate in?
Highest scorer, Shea Hope.
Okay, Shea Hope's been pretty good. Now, all that wisdom you've imparted to me and told me about why we won't get 200, I will go 210. Okay.
Nice.
Wow.
It's finally good to see you making a statement call. Because you've been sitting safe and on the fence.
I was so close at halftime yesterday to say South Africa will win this comfortably, and I didn't. So it doesn't count. But I couldn't say it because then.
The hindsight comment.
Yeah, I'm a master of hindsight. That's why I don't play the game. All right. On that note, I'm saying 210. So at least you two look better when the actual prediction comes right.
But imagine if you're right.
You'd be surprised how often I'm right.
I've seen over the years you're right a lot of times.
Oh, I
Really?
No.
He had me. Okay. On that note, Deep, Faf, that was great fun. Let's pick up the conversation after Zimbabwe have bowled their 20 overs and see where this Super 8 game stands. Join us then for analysis on ESPN Riggin for Timeout, powered by Ghanaian Men.
New Ghanaian Men Acnophyte Gentle Cleanser.